Namaste everyone, my name is Shivani. I will be one of the MCs for today's program.
Hi everyone, my name is Rhea Husor and I'll be the other MC for this program. First of all, we'd like to thank you all for joining us today and we want to wish all the fathers in the audience a happy Father's Day. So Shivani, I heard the DharmaBeeFinale was yesterday. How did that go?
All of these kids participated in the finals yesterday. There were actually four different exam sessions. One, we had a speech contest. Then we had a poster session. Then they had a written exam. And then they had a team activity.
Oh, a poster exam? That sounds different. How did that go?
So actually we decided to try something new this year for the Dharma Bee competition, for the finals. We had all of our contestants visit a place in their local area related to Swami Vivekananda. So maybe it was a place that he visited or he gave a speech at. Maybe it was a Vedanta society now that is propagating his thoughts and his ideas. Or it was some other different spiritual place, like an ashram, something that wasn't a typical temple. So we had them visit that place and then explore it, meet someone there, and ask them questions. What is it like to be here? What are the day-to-day practices? Why do you come here? Yesterday, they made a poster and then gave us a 2-minute presentation about what they learned at this place. It was actually really awesome to see each of these children preparing a 2-minute presentation on what they had learned, what they had seen, something they liked there, and showing us the pictures that they had taken. It was actually really interesting.
That sounds really fun. Do you also want to tell us about
Yeah, actually in our team activity, we didn't want to look at how these teams, what they made at the end, but really how they spent the 2 hours that we gave them working together to create the map that they did. So we gave them a task with all age groups. So there were 2 kids between kindergarten and 1st grade, 2 between 3rd and 4th, 2 5th and 6th, and 7th and 8th. So we had these teams that were all different age groups, and then we had them build a map together. So we looked at how maybe the older kids helped the younger kids, helped them to do what to do. Did they take initiative? Were they good at working with each other? And that also went into determining our winners that we'll announce later in the program. Pujya Swami Ishatmananda Ji of the Vedanta Society of Chicago to light our lamp at the beginning of our program. I also request Manya Sangat Chalak Ji, HSSS USA President, Professor Vivekananda Ji, and Sri Tilak Ji Marwa, Temple President, and Manya Soumitra Ji, HSS International Coordinator, to accompany.
ॐ भद्रं कर्णैः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाशप्रियजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः सुवासतुभिर्वशेम देवहितं यदायुः शुभं करोति कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पद शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योति नमोस्तुते यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे।
Hello everyone. Now we would like to have a play in honor of Swami Vivekananda's life by 50 children from the Chicago area.
And I am greatly honored today to be presenting the world premiere of the play, The Life of Swami Vivekananda. In the next hour or so, you will see several scenes being played out in front of you, starting from when Swamiji was a child all the way to his adulthood. But I promise you one thing. Throughout the whole play, you will definitely be engaged. Sometimes you'll watch with awe, and at other times you'll have a smile on your face. The entire play has been enacted by Balagokulam kids from the Chicago area. They have spent several hours practicing for the play, and at the same time, they have also imbibed the values and the lessons that we are learning from Swamiji's life. But I think all the Dharma Bee participants and their parents will very well know it's not possible to explain Swamiji's life in an hour or an hour and a half. But this has been made possible by our very own Sevika, who started last year researching on Swamiji's life, and she started penning down small stories in the form of a play. Now the play is in a condensed format, which will be easy to watch. You will see the transition and you will see the growth, and you will enjoy the play. Earlier today, when I was standing on the corner, I could see a lot of hands up in the air with video cameras and photography cameras. And I would like to say we are really honored that you brought these devices with you, but also we have professional photographers here today and professional videographers, and as you know, by HSS tradition, you will have these formats available to you after the play. So if you wish to just sit and enjoy the play without using any of the devices, you are more than welcome to do that. And today, for the play, I will be your friend. I will guide you with our other MCs here through the different scenes. We'll help you lace all this together. Also, I'd like to make a note that this is a very unique format where all the voices have been recorded beforehand and laced together seamlessly, allowing shakhas that are diversely placed in the Chicago area to come together and to tie seamlessly as one play, where you will not be able to identify which kids are from which shaka. It has blended together beautifully. A lot of people have made it possible, and we thank you for coming here today to watch this play. I'll let the other MCs introduce themselves.
Namaste everyone, my name is Athleticism and I'm from Shambar Shaka.
Namaste everyone, my name is Ajay Jain and I am from Naperville Shaka.
Namaste everyone, my name is Agni Patel and I'm from Lake County Shaka. But before we start, I wanted to ask you guys a couple of questions. So, how many of you know how many years it's been since Swami Vivekananda was born? Shout it out. Right, I have you guys guess. So there's a poster that says 150 on this wall that gave it away. Okay, now here's a harder question. So, does anyone here know what Swami Vivekananda's childhood name was? If you said that name, you're wrong. Does anyone else know? I think I heard the answer in the audience, but you know what? You'll find out the answer in the play. So sit tight, relax, and enjoy the show. Swami Vivekananda is one of the most admired and influential spiritual leaders to have ever been born. The world knows him as an inspiring, intellectual Hindu monk in saffron robes. India regards him as one of the patriotic forces behind India's independence. All Hindus regard him as a source of deep spiritual power, enlightening energy, and most importantly, open-mindedness. His life is a story each individual should learn in order to understand how to improve one's own life through service, spirituality, and determination. However, before he became a great leader, first Vivekananda was a small, mischievous boy.
Swami Vivekananda said, "You cannot believe in God until you believe in yourself." This means that all of us, even small children, should be proud of who we are. God is within all of us, even small children.
We are blessed by Lord Shiva with this beautiful baby. I am so happy.
Let us call him Narendranath Datta. It is a strong, good name for my first son.
Such a big name for such a small baby. Let us nickname him as Bile in honor of Bilevar Lord Shiva.
Delay was a very naughty child. He would always tease his sisters and was constantly getting into trouble. The only way to calm him down was for his mother to pour cool water on his head while chanting Lord Shiva's name. However, even at such a young age, Delay was very generous.
Father, come look. Beggars are coming to the house. Can we please give them some money to help them?
Don't worry, son. I have set aside some things for them. Can you please go to the other room and play?
But I want to give them something.
Bile, you're too young.
Please take this money and these clothes. I got these new clothes for Deepavali, but I think you need them more than me. Take this money too. My grandfather gave it to me as a gift because I remember the entire Ramayana and Bhagavad Gita.
Delay was not yet 6 years old, but he had inner light and divine spark within him that made him special.
My mom told me the story of sage Valmiki, who wrote the Ramayana. He did great meditation to get divine power. Do you all know that story?
Yes, I know that story. Let's let's have some fun. Let's all pretend that we are rishis doing meditation. Maybe we will also see God and get some power.
Great idea. Just sit like this with your legs crossed and everyone close your eyes.
What is that in the corner moving towards us?
Oh my goodness, it's a cobra. Run, help, someone help us.
Belay, get up. The snake is coming. It will bite you.
Open your eyes, Billy. Hurry. Get up.
Belay was able to go into deep meditation, even at such a young age, because of his inner spiritual strength.
Don't you think that is a very interesting start to the play?
Very true. From a baby to such a young boy, he showed so much deeper empathy and determination that you don't see nowadays.
That is true. With many spiritual leaders, we see how they've shown divinity and a quest for truth very early on in life. But with Swamiji's life, what's very interesting is you see a combination of mischief and also the spiritual angle to him very early on in life.
I heard his mom calling him Belay a few times. I wonder why she named him that.
Yeah, it has a very nice story behind it. I think when I say this story, a lot of Dharma Bee participants are going to say, hey, I know this story. So this is the story of his mom, Bhuvaneshwari Devi. She was a fervent devotee of Lord Vireshwar Shiva. She believed strongly in him, and as she wanted a child, she prayed to Lord Shiva. She even went to the extent to ask a relative who lived in Varanasi to offer prayers on their behalf. And soon after this, she asked this relative in Varanasi to offer prayers on behalf of their family. So soon after this happened, one night she had a dream where Lord Shiva came to her in the dream and told her that he would be born to her as a child. She deeply believed that it would happen. And soon after, when Belay was born, she wanted to have the nickname Belay, which is the shortened version of Lord Vireshwar Shiva. So talking about Belay, right? In one of the scenes, you saw how he saw the beggars and he had a deep empathy and he wanted to give them something. And he gave a gift that his grandfather gave him for Diwali, which is so hard to do. It's something special he got and he gave it away to these beggars. In today's material world, I think all of us, kids, grown-ups, all included, we want a lot of things and it's very hard for us to let go of things. Have you seen something like this, Aditya?
Well, not really, because nowadays, when we get a gift, we prefer to keep it, especially when I was a young boy. I got a toy, I didn't want to share it. It was my toy and I got it. But seeing so much generosity in Narendranath, we see how he was a great person, even from the beginning. And it just amazes me that he was able to do that. And I believe we should move on and see all his greater generosities that he provides for the world.
Sounds like a good plan. Let's go see what's going to happen next.
Swami Vivekananda said you have to grow from the inside out. None can teach you, none can make you spiritual. There is no other teacher but your own soul. This means whenever we close our eyes to pray or simply be quiet, we are learning to be closer to God and to our own selves. We can become stronger and smarter by listening to our inner voice.
Belay soon grew up into a young boy. Everyone now called him Naren, which was short for Narendranath. He started school at the age of 6, and all his teachers were amazed at his memory and intelligence. Even though he loved school, Naren was talkative and often got into trouble at school. One day, Naren was telling a story to his friends while their teacher was talking.
Students, stop talking at once and stand up. Can any one of you tell me what I just said?
Were you talking about the weather?
No?
I know. I think you were talking about the Himalaya mountains and the Ganga River.
Definitely not.
I'm pretty sure you were talking about the rainfall in Africa, right?
No.
Teacher, you said it takes the Earth 365 days to revolve once around the Sun. At its closest point, the Earth is about 91 million miles from the Sun, and 95 million miles from the Sun at its farthest point.
Perfect, Naren. You remember everything I said, word for word. Amazing. Since Naren was the only one who was listening, rest of you are all in trouble. You must now write me a book report about how the earth revolves around the sun.
Teacher, you were right. None of us were listening. I was the main person talking and telling a story. I should be punished as well. I will also write a report as punishment.
I'm very impressed with your honesty and integrity. However, you're still in trouble along with other students.
That just reminded me of school. I just remember last Friday I got in trouble for talking with my friend in class. I guess 100 years ago till now, kids still get in trouble for talking in school.
That is so true, Aditya. I think kids do get into trouble a lot. But I don't think they do this with the notion of wanting to get into trouble. It's more because they're exploring their boundaries and trying to test new waters. But what do you think about him as in Swamiji being able to both listen and talk at the same time? I think that's quite amazing. And what would you say is the takeaway for us here?
All jokes aside, considering that he was able to tell the truth, he has a lot of honesty and integrity. It does take a lot of honesty to own up to one's mistakes, and definitely integrity. And it's just amazing that he was able and agreed to take the blame for what he had done.
That is true. And again, I want to say another story about his mother. From a very young age, she used to read to him passages from the Ramayana and Mahabharata. And he imbibed all those values and cultures that he learned from that very early on in life. There's also a story about him remembering long passages. Isn't that right, Aditya?
Yes, he was able to just read passages and remember them perfectly and recite them just beautifully.
Yeah, and I think that quality of his, along with his ability to meditate and reach into deep levels of trance, is what is quite amazing.
It does show another side, as I stated before, how even at a young age he was able to show this great divinity inside of him. He was able to sit there in meditation when a snake was after him. I'm pretty sure I can do that. I know I can.
Yeah, and when you think about that scene where he was the one who was talking and he stood up and he owned up to his mistakes. At the same time, there's another story when he approached a teacher and the teacher corrected him about something and he believed strongly in himself that he was right, so he stood up for himself. And the thing to remember about Swamiji is he upheld truth, be it if he was wrong or if he was right. So this makes me want to see more about what's happening. Shall we see more?
Yes, of course. Along with his impressive memory and success in school, Naren was a great athlete. He excelled in many sports like gymnastics, fencing, lathi fighting, wrestling, boxing, and swimming. But his family and friends were often more in awe for his great compassion toward others. One day, Naren and his friends were trying to set up a heavy trapeze bar to practice gymnastics. A British soldier was walking by and offered to help.
Hi, boys. The ball looks really heavy. Can I help you?
No, thank you. I think we got it.
Are you sure? Just show me what needs to be done and I'll do it.
Okay, thank you. We are having a hard time. We need the bar lifted high and attached to the tree there so we can practice our gymnastics. We are all in the gymnastics club. See our muscles?
Wow, you guys have some big muscles, but I think you need a little bit of help. Hand me the ball now and I will attach it.
Oh no! What shall we do? He's bleeding really bad.
We're gonna be in big trouble. He is a British officer. The whole army will come to get us.
Calm down, everyone. We didn't do anything wrong. He is badly hurt. I will hold this cloth on his head. Raj, Ravi, you both go get the doctor. Chandra, Ram, you both go get some water.
Until the doctor came. The doctor was very impressed with Narain's quick thinking, but he was even more impressed with Narain's compassion.
So, Ajay-ji, don't you think it's quite interesting for a monk to be a good gymnast and an athlete?
Yes, indeed. And in fact, as you rightly noticed, Swami Vivekananda had a very unique perspective to teaching spirituality. He told people that you need to be physically strong and the religion will come later.
I wonder why that is. That doesn't really make sense to me. You have to be physically strong in order to seek spirituality?
So I think what he meant by that is very pertinent to the times when he was born and when he was a monk. At that time, as was mentioned earlier, Swamiji, India was under British rule and the masses of India were very poor. So if you seek spirituality in the true Hindu way, you are expected to renunciate the worldly pleasures and seek God and things of the higher order. So when the people in India were largely deprived of material wealth, if Swamiji went on and taught them about spirituality, it would be really hard for them to understand what to give up when they don't have anything.
Oh, so that kind of makes sense. So I guess it's kind of like if Swamiji told the poor masses of India to give up everything and seek spirituality, it would almost be like my mom telling my brother to give up video games when she never really bought him an Xbox to play him on the first place, right?
Yeah, very smart of me. Now you got an excuse to ask your mom to buy a video game player, right? However, you make a very good analogy and I think you are right. That is why Swamiji said that you will learn the Gita much better through playing soccer. You will understand or you will be closer to heaven through your biceps being a little stronger and little more blood in your veins. Isn't that amazing?
It is, and I think that's why we play games and we do exercises at Shaka, right? So that we can be both mentally strong and physically strong.
Exactly. And while we are getting set up, I remember another little incident from his life that shows his sharp memory. We saw how Swamiji was like remembering every single detail about how far the earth is from the sun and things like that. He had an amazing and photographic memory right from the childhood, and he got even better as time went by. Once upon a time, do you know there used to be British encyclopedias back in the time?
Yeah, they're really thick, right?
Yes, they are like pre-Google. Now, when we need to know something, we would go and search it on the internet and then go from there. So while we are talking about this, I think the scene is all set for us to move on. So let's see what's coming up.
Swami Vivekananda said, In a day when you don't come across any problems, you can be sure you are traveling in the wrong path. This means that every day we should be learning something new and working to our full potential. If the whole day was easy, if we didn't have to do any hard work, and if we didn't have to think, then we didn't really accomplish anything.
In 1880, Naren was now a young man attending Scottish Church College in Calcutta. According to his professors, he was a student prodigy due to his amazing memory. He studied Eastern and Western philosophy, but his main interest was spirituality and religion. He joined the Brahmo Samaj to help in his quest for the truth about God. He began to go to various religious leaders and ask them if they had seen God. One day, during a poetry class, his professor William Hasty was explaining a poem.
William Wordsworth's poem, The Excursion, is a truly extraordinary poem. It has hidden depths of meaning. Take, for example, the word trance in this poem. Can anyone explain what this word means?
Sir, does it mean deep thought?
Yes, but it means more than that. Does anyone else have an idea?
Sir, does it mean meditation?
Yes, but again, it means more than just meditation. If you want to know the meaning of this word to its full extent, I suggest that you go and visit Sri Ramakrishna in Dakshineswar. Once you visit him, you will understand what this word truly means.
So, last time we were talking about the British Encyclopedia. Just want to conclude that Swamiji remembered 10 of those 12 volumes by heart. That was the nature of the sharp memory. Now coming to this last scene, did you see how curious he was, asking so many questions?
Yeah, and it kind of reminded me of little kids, how curious they are and how eager they are to seek knowledge.
Exactly. And Swamiji did not stop being a kid at such a adult age when he was even in college and even beyond. He just kept asking questions. Have you ever wondered why grown-ups like me do not ask so many questions?
Well, my mom tells me it's because she knows everything. But I don't think that's true.
Well, yeah, so you're right. We adults, I believe there are two sort of aspects to this. We adults seem to become complacent with what we know, and we tend to assume that that is enough for us to get by, so we stop questioning. Secondly, I think there is a sense of insecurity that goes on among adults about asking questions. Because if you ask a question that nobody else has asked, people fear that they will look dumb in front of everybody. They might have asked something very obvious.
You know what? That happens to me all the time. Last year in math class, we were studying this really hard chapter. And I had a question on one of the problems. And I didn't want to ask because it seemed like no one else had a question on it. So of course I didn't ask. And then lo and behold, when the test day came, guess what question was on the test? And guess who got it wrong?
Well, so now you know to keep asking questions, Learning from here, you can apply this to your day-to-day student life and be better prepared to be intellectually curious and excel in life.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, have you ever had any encounters with curiosity yourself?
Oh, sure. I see that every day at work when people are sitting in this big boardroom meetings and there are big shots sitting in the corporate boardroom. Everybody is nodding their head, and I have so many questions in my head, and I feel like, will I jeopardize my next promotion if I ask such a dumb question of everyone, right? And on that note, I happened to ask the CEO of the company one day that, hey, you started as a market reporter, very lowly paid employee back in 1988, and today you are the CEO of this company. How did that happen?
Man, I'm not really sure. How can you start so low and work your way up so high?
Right, and exactly that question. So when I asked that question to the CEO, he first tried to scuttle it off, and he said, one fine day everybody above me just resigned, and I ended up being the president of the clearinghouse, and now I'm the CEO. But I really persisted on. I know he has a sense of humor. He tends to take things lightly at times. But I was really driven at that time to just understand, what is the damage.
So, did you ever find out how?
Yeah, so when I pressed on, he said this very, very simple thing to me that applies to everybody. He said, I had a childlike curiosity all my career. When I started out, I would never stop asking why. I will keep asking to the point where people get irritated and say, hey, what kind of a dumb question is this? But I will persist on, and that's what I think took me here.
Well, we can take a lot from that lesson. So let's see what happens next in the play and what other lessons we can learn.
Yeah.
Naren decided the next day to travel to Dakeshwar and visit Sri Ramakrishna.
Namaste. I have come to visit Sri Ramakrishna and hear him speak.
Namaste. Please come and sit down. Sri Ramakrishna would be happy to speak with you.
Oh, Naren, where were you? I am eagerly waiting to see you. Come, take this prasad.
Sir, have you seen God?
Yes, my boy, I can see him more clearly than I see you. If you wish, I will teach you how to see him.
Tongue-tied, seeing that last scene with the last question. Have you seen God? We all think about it. Have we seen God? Aditya, have you thought about it?
Well, being brought up in the U.S., I went to Shaka, and in Shaka, I always learned that there is God in everyone. But at a young age, I used to really think, is there God in that person? I thought God was supposed to be nice, and he doesn't seem that nice. But as I grew up, I started to understand that the whole entity of God and his being isn't in one person, but all of his different aspects are shown in different people. Some people are intelligent, and some people are compassionate. Show compassion. They all show different aspects of God. Not one person is God, but all the human beings put together, all their different aspects put together, that shows God. And I believe Sri Ramakrishna was saying that. He meant that he could take a step back, see everyone as one whole group, and he could see God.
Aditya, you really put it very beautifully. I have two little boys of my own, and they go to the Shaka every weekend as well. And I can see foresee the future of how they'll grow up and probably appreciate these aspects of God and spirituality and religion. In another scene, we saw Professor Hasty. He was also the principal of the college. And he said a couple of things that really turned true. One of the things he said about Swamiji was, I'm paraphrasing, so this is not the exact quote. He said, in all my travels far and wide, I've never seen such a lad with so many possibilities and such good talent. And he said he would go far. And that was true. He did go far. He came all the way to Chicago as well. In addition, he spoke about Sri Ramakrishna. He said Sri Ramakrishna was one of the very few people who could go into deep trances. And which is why he led Swamiji to go meet Sri Ramakrishna. Now let's see what's going to happen next.
Swami Vivekananda said, we are responsible for what we are, and whatever we wish ourselves to be, we have the power to make ourselves if what we are now has been the result of our own past actions. It certainly follows that whatever we wish to be in the future can be produced by our present action. So we have to know how to act. This means that we can be whatever we want to be because we have the powers within ourselves. For example, if someone wants to be a doctor, they can do it by their actions of studying hard. If they don't study hard, they will never be a doctor. Therefore, each one of us has the power to change our lives for the better every single day.
Naren felt such a strong connection to Sri Ramakrishna that he continued to visit Sri Ramakrishna through all his college years. Sri Ramakrishna taught Naren many things, such as how to do sadhana, deep meditation, and gave Naren lectures on spirituality. Naren always questioned everything that Sri Ramakrishna taught. Sri Ramakrishna appreciated this quality in Naren and answered all his questions because it showed that Naren truly wanted to reach enlightenment.
God is an ocean of nectar. Tell me if you will dive into the sea or not. Well, imagine that there is a bowl full of sugar syrup and you are a fly. Where will you perch yourself and drink the syrup?
I'll sit on the edge of the bowl, extend my mouth and sip from there. For if I go farther, I'll get drowned.
My son, this is the ocean of God. There is no fear of death in it. It is the ocean of immortality. Is there a limit to the love of God? So I say to you, immerse yourself in the sea of God. You are all my disciples, but you are like stars in the universe. Naren is like the sun and has been born to help others.
When Naren graduated from college, he was a true believer in Sri Ramakrishna and had decided to become his disciple and monk. Naren and the other disciples took their vows to be monks, or sannyasis, changed their names, began to wear saffron robes. Naren changed his name to Swami Vivekananda. However, he did not keep this name permanently, and most people called him Swamiji. Soon after this, Sri Ramakrishna passed away on August 16, 1886, through Mahasamadhi.
So, Ajay, did Sri Ramakrishna really show God to Swamiji?
So what I have heard and read is that after Naren or Swami Vivekananda first went there and asked him this question, Swami Sri Ramakrishna Paramhans touched Naren in a way that he could see God all around him. Like the entire existence was surrounded by God, and he realized him in a way that he never ever doubted his existence again.
Wow, that's so powerful.
Yeah, and then going back to the discussion that we were having prior to the last scene is about intellectual curiosity. This particular incident just shows us the power of intellectual curiosity. If you never stop questioning and never stop trying to learn more, see the heights that you can achieve, you could actually see God.
Yeah, I mean, that just goes to show you how much just asking questions can get you. Just like if I asked that question on my math test, would have gotten an A.
Yes, and I'm sure if you take this lesson back to your heart, you are probably going to get better scores for the rest of your life, isn't it?
I guess that's true. I mean, that's what my mom tells me.
So while we are getting set up and we are discussing the student life aspect of learnings from Swamiji's life, I remember Swamiji had another unique quality resulting from his ability to concentrate. You know how we kids start learning to read?
Yeah, you first start with a letter, and then you do the phonetic reading of the letter, and then you read the word, and then the sentence, right?
Right, and you know, most of us just stop at reading the sentence at a time, right, or a few words at a time. Swamiji used to read a magazine like a flip of a page, and he's reading this. Somebody asked him, you know, what are you doing? He says, I'm reading. So how is this that you're reading this? And he says that exactly how you said, people stop at the sentence. I actually started reading a paragraph at a time, then a page at a time, and that's what I'm doing. I'm reading a page at a time and flipping over.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's pretty powerful and fast. So let's see what happens in the next scene.
Swami Vivekananda said, "Be not afraid of anything. You will do marvelous work. The moment you fear, you are nobody. Be a hero. Always say, I have no fear. Tell this to everybody. Have no fear. This means we shouldn't be scared to try new things. We should always attempt to do our best and not worry about failing. Also, we should not worry about what others will think and say. As long as we do our best and are not afraid, we can succeed at anything."
After 2 years with the other disciples, Swamiji decided to leave the monastery as a wandering monk, travel throughout India, and teach enlightenment to everyone. He only carried a water pot and a staff.
Namaste. I would love to learn about your life and also teach you about God. Are you willing to listen?
Sure. Come stay in my new house, Swamiji. I work for the British government, so I have a good job. We have many servants, a beautiful house, and many righteous. Please come with me to my house.
Thank you for your hospitality. Would you like to learn about God?
Maybe later. I have to go to work now. If I don't keep working, then the British might come and take away my beautiful house. Then what will I do?
Thank you, but it seems that you are too busy to learn of God. I will come back when you are free. Namaste. I would love to learn about your life and also teach you about God. Are you willing to listen?
Namaste. I kindly decline, sir. I am a Christian and I have already discovered God through Jesus Christ.
That is wonderful, sir. I am so happy to hear that. By the study of different religions, we find in essence they are one. Your God and my God are the same. Thank you for your time. Namaste. I would love to learn about your life and also teach you about God. Are you willing to listen?
Thank you, Swamiji. I would be most honored, but I do not have time. We are very, very poor. If I do not go and work, then I will have nothing to feed my family this evening. Please understand.
Of course, dear lady, I understand. Go and do your work. Your family will be waiting.
In this last scene, did you notice how Swamiji was trying to teach everyone about God, regardless of their religion, caste, social status, etc.?
Not really sure what's so special about it.
It's a good question. I grew up in India, so I'm able to relate to a little bit better, but just to set the context, the times when Swamiji was a wandering monk, the Indian society was relatively more strictly regimented into this social status and caste system. So during those times, it was pretty unusual for a monk like Swami Vivekananda to be trying to impart religious learnings to people who are not born in the so-called privileged class at that time. And that's what makes this very interesting.
Oh, do you have any stories from that from his childhood?
Oh yes. So Swami Vivekananda, as Naren in his childhood, was always against this kind of discrimination based on birth, and he always wanted to break these barriers. His father was an eminent lawyer, and he used to have a lot of visitors. You know, like, have you been to the doctor's place, big doctors?
Yeah, and when you're waiting for the doctor, you have to sit in their waiting room, and usually you can play with like the toys there or read the magazines, right?
Exactly. So you bring me right on to the point that I'm trying to illustrate here. So he was a big lawyer, he would have a lot of visitors, and just like the doctors, he had a waiting area for them. And the waiting area had a bunch of hookahs. Do you know what a hookah is?
A hookah is like a smoking machine, right?
Exactly, right? So I'm going to use that term for the purpose of this story. So there was one smoking machine per caste over there. So Hindu would have a different one, a Christian and a Muslim would have a different one, and so on, caste-wise. So Naren couldn't tolerate this situation, so he went on one fine day and took a whiff from each one of these smoking machines.
Oh my God, his dad must have been so mad to see his little boy smoking like that.
Yes, exactly. And on top of that, he was going across caste. So he asked him, and he was really angry. But Naren replied very innocently, "Look, father, I took a whiff from each one of these machines, and nothing has happened to me. Sky hasn't fallen apart, so this caste system must be really fake."
You know what? That's so brave of him to say that. Let's see what else Swami Vivekananda has to say. After traveling for 3 years and meeting so many new people, Swamiji reached the southern tip of India, Kanyakumari. Swamiji decided he would visit Goddess Kumari's temple.
India is such a vast and beautiful land filled of so many kinds of people, but there are more poor people than any kind of people. I have come to realize that while I am wandering about trying to teach about God, people are starving. My guru, Sri Ramakrishna, said that an empty stomach is no good for religion. I need to figure out how to help all the people of India. I cannot make a difference until all the people of India can think about something other than survival. We have to raise the masses. But how do I do that?
After deep meditation and days of thinking of the problem, Swamiji decided he would travel to America, the land of opportunity, and ask for funds for the poor. He would speak at the first Parliament of World Religions as representative of Hinduism. The Parliament of World Religions was a conference which invited religious dignitaries from all countries and religions to come together to create a global understanding between nations. Swamiji and his disciples started collecting donations for his trip. He continued to travel and went to the Maharaja of Khetri.
So Agni, in the last scene, you mentioned Khetri. Have you known or tried to find out where that is?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's in the northern part of India, right?
Yes, I think you are very close. It's the northwest border of India. It's a state of Rajasthan that borders with Pakistan on the northwest frontier. And this is a small town which is known for copper mines. And Swamiji went there to meet the Maharaja of Khetri. His name was Ajit Singh. You know, there is a very interesting fact, seemingly trivial fact associated with Khetri that gives a distinct look to Swamiji's personality. You know what that is?
I'm not sure. What is it?
So, have you noticed the turban that Swamiji ties always?
Oh, right. It's in his statue that leads up to the mandir, right?
Exactly. And we have not seen Swamiji in many pictures without that turban. So that turban has become an integral part of his persona.
Yeah, it gives him an authentic view.
Absolutely. So he learned to tie that turban in that place called Khetri. There is an interesting reason behind it why he had to learn that.
What is it?
So it's the state of Rajasthan. It's a desert type area, and in the summers it gets very hot. So incidentally, when Swamiji went there the first time, it was summer, and over there people have to tie turbans to protect their heads from hot currents. So that.
Oh, so that's why Swamiji was taught how to tie the turban, and that's why he wears it.
Exactly. And when Maharaja's men taught him how to tie the turban, he, as always, being a good student, not only did he quickly learn it, but he found various different ways to do it, and the one that he uses is not exactly the style that he was taught. It's his own variation of doing it.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and this particular turban has stayed with him for a lifetime. In fact, Swamiji, for that matter, visited Khetri overall, I think 3 times in his life. And the Maharaja and his family has been a patron of Swamiji's for so many years.
Wow. What did he do in Khetri?
Well, he lived there for the first time. I think when he went there, he was there for about 3 months. And first time, I guess, when he went there, it was first or second time. It was when the Maharaja had a little one born. So he had called Swamiji for his birth ceremony and give him a name, etc.
How sweet.
In fact, the palace that is in Khetri, they've made a memorial over there for Swamiji. The whole family even today is really devoted to Swami Vivekananda, and they've still been supportive of the work that the Ramakrishna mission does.
Wow, that's amazing, right?
Alright, I am really looking forward to seeing what is coming up next. Let's see.
Namaste Swamiji and welcome. I am most honored by your visit. Please come and sit here.
Thank you, Maharaja. I am happy to be visiting you.
To what do we owe the honor of this visit?
Maharaja, as you know, I have decided to go to America to collect money to help the poor here in India. I am going to be speaking at the Parliament of World's Religions. Can you help me with this trip?
Of course, Swamiji. I would be happy to pay for your journey across the ocean.
You are most kind, Maharaja. That would be wonderful. May you and your family always be blessed. The Divine Mother will always protect your family, especially your new baby.
Oh, Swami, your words fill me with such joy. I would like to call you Swami Vivekananda. Vivek, which means the ability to distinguish between truth and falsehood, and Ananda, which means joy and happiness. You are an enlightened man of such wisdom, and your presence provides such joy for so many people.
Thank you, Maharaja. I will use the name that you have given me.
About the turban. But I think about the turban and I think about his regal bearing and his upbringing. Then I think about having to ask for contributions for his travel to the United States. It's a very hard thing to do. As a mother, when I have to do fundraising for the school or fundraising for any other event, it's very hard to ask for money. But what I think about at this moment is what we teach the kids at the Shakha. We have the Diwali food drive every year, and a couple of years ago, my 2 sons who are very little were at the grocery stores, the participating grocery stores, with our flyer and approaching strangers and telling them about the food drive, explaining to them what Diwali means, why we are doing the food drive, and why we need to help society. It was very hard for them to overcome their shyness and reach out and do something like this. But it was a beautiful learning experience. Aditya, have you done that in your shaka as well?
Actually, yeah. I've actually been doing Diwali food drive for a few years now, and it's actually a very fun experience because we're helping the people who need and don't have, and we're just giving them what they need. And it's a fun experience because when we try to explain it to others, some people accept it and they'll try to help us. Some people won't accept it and they'll just disrespect us and leave us. But the best stories are when they ask us more questions about Diwali. And we have to think back to the classes in Balagogi and think about what was Diwali, why we celebrate it, and just try to help them answer it. And our parents are always just standing there in the background, ready to help us when we need it. It's just a fun experience overall, because we're with our friends, giving to needy, and it's just a fun thing overall.
Yeah, I think when you think about it, the scale with which Swamiji did and the goals that he had for the country and for the nation was really large. And what we did here, the parallel we're trying to draw, the Diwali food drive was much smaller and localized, but nevertheless, I think it's a lesson that was very well deserved and served for the kids.
We should move on with the play and see what happens next.
Definitely, let's do it.
Swami Vivekananda said, "The more we grow love, virtue, and holiness, the more we see love, virtue, and holiness outside." This means that the more we try to be loving, honest, and kind in our everyday actions, then we will inspire other people to be loving, honest, and kind as well. We should always try to treat other people the way we would like to be treated.
Swami Vivekananda began his travels in new saffron robes, a new saffron turban, with a new name going into a new land. He left in May 1893 to travel to Chicago. On the way, he passed through China and Japan. On the last part of the voyage between Japan and Chicago, he met Jamsetji Tata.
Hello, Swamiji. I've heard great things about you from the other passengers, and I've been wanting to speak with you.
It is a pleasure to meet you. What is your name, sir?
Well, Swamiji, my name is Jamsetji Tata, and I'm a businessman. Through my travels, I've seen that the way to help India succeed is by bringing an industrial revolution to our country. I'm hoping to start a steel company in India. I would also like to start a science institute to educate our youth in science. I've heard from others on the ship that your goal is also to help India improve itself. What do you think of my idea, Swamiji?
My dear sir, you speak of a subject which I hold dear to my heart. It is my fervent belief that India will need education and industry to improve itself. Only by improving the lives of the masses can India reach greatness. Our people are so consumed with daily existence that they cannot reach God. I heartily endorse your ideas. You have my blessings for such a noble endeavor.
Thank you, Swamiji. Your blessings and support are very much needed and appreciated.
He also started
So, Ajayji, what was so important about that meeting on the ship? Did Swamiji and Mr. Tata meet after the encounter?
That's a very good question. That is, if anything, very special about this meeting, besides so many other things that I want to point out in response to your question, is that these two great individuals never ever met again in their life besides that meeting on the ship. And still, this meeting finds a place in the story of Swami Vivekananda.
So, did they become partners?
Sort of. So, Jamsetji Tata, as we all know, was a great industrialist, but he also became so impressed and became such a big fan of Swami Vivekananda as a result of this meeting that 5 years after this first meeting, he wrote a letter to Swami Vivekananda asking him for his blessings and support to start monasteries nationwide where the youth with an ascetic spirit would get an opportunity to pursue studies in humanistic and natural sciences.
So, did they start any monasteries?
So that's again, the straight answer is not exactly. So when Tata wrote to Swamiji, Swamiji was very occupied. He couldn't come and meet him in person himself, but he knew the seriousness and the importance of his offer, so he immediately sent one of his best disciples, Sister Nivedita, to help him out with his plans. And then they did hatch out the plans, but despite that, the plans did not immediately materialize into any monasteries being started. The reason was Britishers did not like that idea and they just killed it.
Why did they not like it?
Well, so India was under British rule and India was very important part of the British Empire. They wouldn't want anything being done by Indians at that time based on their own cultural heritage, such as Tata was proposing, that would unite the whole country on the basis of our own heritage. So British Viceroy, immediately as soon as he got the wind of the plans, he killed them and made sure that nothing happened immediately. However, the perseverance of Tatas must be appreciated here, that even after the passing away of Jamshedji Tata and even that of Swamiji, Tatas persevered. And as a result of their perseverance and the support from Swamiji's disciples, this Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore, eventually came into being in the year 1909.
Wow, that's amazing. You know what? Let's see what else happened to Swami.
Swami Vivekananda said, I am proud to belong to a religion which has taught the world both tolerance and universal acceptance. We accept all religions as true. As different streams have different sources, all mingled their waters in the sea. So different tendencies, various though they appear, crooked or straight, all lead to God. This means that even though there are so many religions in the world, we are all praying to the same God, but with just a different name. We should therefore be respectful of all religions.
When Swami Vivekananda arrived in Chicago in July 1893, he was full of enthusiasm and ready to speak at the conference. However, he did not realize that he needed a formal invitation and had to have formal credentials to form an organization to be accepted as a delegate. He met Professor John Henry Wright of Harvard University, who invited him to speak at Harvard.
Professor Wright, thank you for the invitation to speak at Harvard. I enjoyed speaking with your students. They are full of questions and very curious.
Swami Vivekananda, thank you so much for your wonderful speech. The students were energized and received a new perspective on Hinduism.
Professor, I am facing a difficult situation that I was hoping you could advise me on. I have traveled so far to speak at the Parliament of World's Religions, but I have discovered that I need formal credentials from a religious organization. Do you have any ideas what I should do at this point?
To ask for your credentials is like asking the sun to state its right to shine in the heavens. I will take care of this for you, Swamiji. It would be my honor. Let me write a letter immediately. To whom it may concern, you must accept Swami Vivekananda as a delegate to the Parliament of World's Religions. He would be an invaluable part of the conference. Here is a man more learned than all of our learned professors put together.
So, Apni, the last scene we saw Swami Vivekananda in conversation with a professor at Harvard. That reminds me of a very interesting lecture that Swamiji delivered at Medford, which is very close to where the Harvard University is. It was on the subject of the ideal of universal religion.
Wow, that sounds really interesting. But, I mean, how can there be one universal religion There are so many today. Ajay, do you know how many religions there are in the world today?
Well, now only you are really becoming intellectually curious, as we were talking about. And you asked me a question that I haven't researched yet. Do you know?
Actually, I do. I googled it in preparation for this narration, and it turns out, as of 2005, there are 21 major world religions. And one of them is atheism, which is the absence of any belief. So, technically, there are 20 major religions in the world. But that still doesn't really explain how you can have one universal religion if there are 20 religions in the world.
Well, first of all, thank you for enlightening me on that. I was going to say thousands, but now I know 20. But like you said, despite there being 20, there is enough complexity in this subject, and if we start counting various beliefs inside Hinduism, I'm sure that number would grow further. So Swamiji handled this subject of the ideal of universal religion very beautifully at Medford, where one of the key things that I recall from that lecture is he said, I would welcome it if every man on earth created a religion of himself, because in that scenario, every person would have given his own independent thought about God.
Wow, you know what? That makes a lot of sense.
Alright, so I'm really excited now to look what's going to happen in the story next.
With the introduction letter sent by Professor Wright, Swami Vivekananda was accepted to speak at the Parliament of World Religions on September 11, 1893.
Sisters and brothers of America, it fills my heart with joy unspeakable to rise in response to the warm and cordial welcome which you have given us. I thank you in the name of the most ancient order of monks in the world. I thank you in the name of the mother of religions. And I thank you in the name of millions and millions of Hindu people of all classes and sects. I will quote to you, brethren, a few lines of hymn which I remember to have repeated from my earliest boyhood. Different paths which men take through different tendencies, various though they appear, crooked or straight, all lead to thee. The present convention, which is one of the most august assemblies ever held, is in itself a vindication, a declaration to the world of the wonderful doctrine preached in the Gita. Whosoever comes to me, through whatsoever form, I reach him. All men are struggling through paths which in the end lead to me.
My heart is pounding just viewing that scene from the sidelines. I don't think there are any words that can describe this moment in history, but a little bit of background will help us understand his sentiments before he came on stage. There were several different delegates who were at the Parliament of World Religions from the East, like the Theosophical Society, Brahmo Samaj and others. And there was one person who didn't belong to any particular sect. That was Swamiji. When all the delegates were on stage and the chairman called them up one after the other, Swamiji was not prepared. He did not have a written down speech and he was taken over by stage fright. And when he was called to the podium, he said, "Can I go next?" And the chairman agreed. And he did that a couple of times and he finally requested the chairman to send him last. And when he reached the stage, his heart was beating and he was so nervous. And then he came up, and when Dr. Barrows, he introduced him, he was on the stage. He took his moment and then he said, "Sisters and brothers of America." Those words, everybody stood up and applauded for a long time. Those sentiments that came up before the speech are really something that touched me when I heard it.
Actually, that speech was the first time I ever heard of Swami Vivekananda, because I was always told about his amazing speech at the World of Parliament, and that speech is what started my study on Swamiji. That's when I understood him. And I think we should move on with the play because I want to see more about his life.
Me too, let's do it.
Swami Vivekananda said, "Take up one idea, make that idea your life. Think of it, dream of it, live on that idea. Let the brain, muscles, nerves, every part of your body be full of that idea, and just leave every other idea alone. This is the way to success." This means if you are a student, then your whole life should be focused on education and doing your absolute best. Don't worry about trying to be the best athlete or being the best video game player. All your attention should be on school, since that is your main goal. If you do this, you will succeed.
Swami Vivekananda stayed in the U.S. for 4 years. During this time, he traveled extensively, gave lectures, taught at universities, and founded the first Vedanta Society in New York. He met many well-known people, such as Nikola Tesla, the scientist who designed the modern AC electrical supply system. He also met John D. Rockefeller, who became one of the wealthiest men in the 19th century. Swami Vivekananda encouraged Rockefeller to start donating his wealth to public charities. Also, during this time, he traveled to Europe twice. During his trips, he met Max Mueller, the famous philosopher studying India, who later wrote Sri Ramakrishna's first biography for the West. Swami Vivekananda also met Margaret Elizabeth Noble, who later became Sister Nivedita.
All our struggle is for freedom. We seek neither misery nor happiness, but freedom. Freedom alone.
Master, I feel a deep connection to what you say, and I'm filled with energy to do more with my life. I've always had this burning voice within, but nothing to utter. How often I have sat down to speak and there was no speech.
My child, I foresee a great future for you in India. Let me tell, what was wanted was not a man but a woman, a real lioness, to work for Indians, women especially.
Master, as surely I am fitted to my world, so surely is my world in need of me, waiting ready. The arrow has found its place in the bow. I would be honored to go with you to India and help you with your work there.
Once we are in India, I will give you the formal brahmacharya ceremony. Your name will become Nivedita, which means dedicated one. I would like you to open a school for poor girls and give them the education to grow into strong, intelligent women.
Master, I will do as you say. I have been waiting for this opportunity my entire life. It will become my life's work.
In this last scene, as we saw, Swamiji was in US for about 4 years, and during these 4 years, he became very popular. He almost had a fan club, a huge following around the country.
How interesting. Did these fans ask any questions?
Oh, lots of them, always very curious, as we were saying about Swamiji. And on that note, I do remember a specific incident that happened when Swamiji was out somewhere on the beach and, as always, flocked by his fans. And one of these gentlemen was curious about Sri Krishna, as Swamiji used Sri Krishna as an example and in his stories, in his lectures several times. So this gentleman got up and asked Swamiji, what is so great about Sri Krishna? After all, he was just a shepherd boy as you described him to us.
Oh my gosh, what did Swamiji say?
Well, so it was a tough question, right?
Did Swamiji get mad?
Not really, but he didn't say anything. He just got up, turned around and started walking away from the crowd. And as you say, the crowd must have felt like he's mad. Was this an appropriate question to be asked of a Hindu monk? But Swamiji just kept walking. And so did everybody who was around there. They kept following him. So he kept walking for about a mile without saying a thing, and people just kept following him. Finally, he stopped and turned around. And guess what?
What did he say?
Well, he said, I could not find a better way to answer this question about Sri Krishna. So I thought I should do a little demonstration here. I am just a small devotee of Lord Krishna, and you fine people have been following me for a mile to just hear a few words about Lord Krishna. So just imagine the infinite charm of the God himself who has charmed people beyond imagination or ages.
Wow, what a witty way to handle the situation.
Alright, let's see what's happening next in our story.
Swami Vivekananda said, do not be in a hurry. Do not go out to imitate anybody else. Have faith in yourselves. Be proud of your ancestors instead of being ashamed of them. And do not imitate. Do not imitate. This means that all of us should remember that even if we look different from everybody else in our class, school, and neighborhood, we should stand up tall and be proud of our heritage. We should be proud to be different, with a different name, different language, different skin color. We do not need to be ashamed of ourselves, nor do we need to change ourselves to be more like others.
Although Swami Vivekananda did not receive the fund for the poor of India, he had succeeded in teaching Hinduism and Sri Ramakrishna's ideals to the West. Now he felt a burning desire to go back to India. He realized that his true purpose was to teach his fellow Indians to be strong and proud of their culture. He wanted to help India realize its greatness and teach it to stand on its own, independently of Great Britain. By helping India gain independence, Swami Vivekananda felt that the poor would have a better chance of improving their situation, and thereby slowly becoming closer to God. He went back to India, taking with him only a few close Americans and Europeans, such as Sister Nidhi. On January 15, 1897, when Swami Vivekananda reached Colombo, Sri Lanka, which was still part of India, he was welcomed with a huge celebration.
Thank you for such a warm welcome. The spirituality of the Hindus is revealed by the princely reception which you have given to a beggar sannyasi. I am not a military general, not a prince, nor even a wealthy man. Yet I have been given such rich tributes. It shows the highest expression of spirituality and greatness of India.
Swami Vivekananda continued to deliver many speeches and gave many discourses throughout India. He founded the first Ramakrishna Math in 1897 in Chennai. He was treated as a spiritual leader and inspires many people. He brought modern Hinduism to not only the West, but revitalized it within India. He helped formulate the nationalistic ideal for Indians in British ruled India. He felt that reducing poverty in India was a requirement for India to succeed. Although Swami Vivekananda passed away through Matsabhami in July 4th, 1902, his spirit is so strong that it still inspires all of us today.
Swami Vivekananda said, "When I asked God for strength, He gave me difficult situations to face. When I asked God for brain and brawn, He gave me puzzles in life to solve. When I asked God for happiness, He showed me unhappy people. When I asked God for wealth, He showed me how to work hard. When I asked God for favors, He showed me opportunities to work hard. When I asked God for peace, He showed me how to help others. God gave me nothing I wanted. He gave me everything I needed. Swami Vivekananda's greatest gift to mankind is to remind us that God is within all of us. He has the power within us to do anything. As Swami Vivekananda said, we will arise, awake, and stop not until the goal is reached.
Sisters and brothers, this concludes our presentation on the life of Swami Vivekananda. I hope as I can see from this huge applause, you all enjoyed it thoroughly, and I also hope that you all take back some unique perspectives, unique things about Swami Vivekananda's personality from this story today. At this moment, I want to acknowledge the efforts that have gone into making this play come together so beautifully. The active efforts to put this play together started about 4 months ago, but the conceptualization of this whole play and the script writing started about a year back by Usha Shriji, who's worked tirelessly to put this together. And I also want to recognize one more person who put many nights together into putting the sound effects flow together, come together, identifying the right voices. That is Sri Rajesh Ji Nayak. And I want to thank all the other Karyakartas from various shakhas in the Chicagoland area who put together several hours, bringing in props, bringing in the right voices, bringing in kids to the shakha for rehearsal, lighting arrangements. Every minute detail of this complicated presentation of the scenes from Swami Vivekananda's life would not have been possible without the tireless efforts of these many Swayamsevaks. Once again, please give them a round of applause. Now there will be a medal distribution to the participants in the play to recognize their efforts. This is for all the kids who participated.
Thank you everyone, and standing on this side, right in the middle, I want to thank both sides on the stage, all the kids for putting such a great performance, working so hard and making this possible. And on the other hand, this beautiful audience, a big applause for you as well, for being so attentive. We could see how interested you were in the play.